All right, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to episode 122 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Landy Pavlon. Tonight, I have my colleague Justin Hebert with me.
Yep.
And maybe Daniel Ford will show up possibly sometime tonight if he makes it. But yeah, we have a lot of stuff to discuss in motorsport. The end of NASCAR's longest break during the season and the end of the off weeks for the rest of the Cup Series schedule. That we'll bring up later in the podcast as we discuss NASCAR at Watkins Glen. Yeah, Watkins Glen is back. 2 years ago, of course, last year we couldn't have it. But nice to see the return of a famous road course back on the map. Also, Formula One, an ecstatic Hungarian Grand Prix. That's where we're going to start with this podcast. Let's get right into it. Everything that happened at the Hungaroring in Budapest yesterday is still beyond worse. I mean, first and foremost, Justin, I think we were on Skype together for most of the Spa 24 hours. And I said, around, heading into the F1 race, just please make this a normal Grand Prix, just problem-free. Give me a Lewis Hamilton win. Make this easy for me. Everything in the opposite happened.
Yep.
And Esteban Ocon, of all people, took the checkered flag and the top step of the podium. I still am in shock of words every time I say that. Esteban Ocon is a Grand Prix winner. How did it get to this? Where was he? And how did this work? Everybody says that the Pierre Gasly win last year at the Italian Grand Prix, or in some cases the Sebastian Vettel win at the Italian Grand Prix 13 years ago, were cases of once-in-a-lifetime upset wins you're never going to see again. It's going to happen once, and it's not going to happen probably for another 5, 10, 15 years. This happened. And just to say, the Hungaroring, is considered to be not as much of a driver's racetrack, but more or less saying a track where where you're going to be based off the power of your car. If you can get through the first lap, it should be fine. If you can bear the wet weather, it should be fine. The first two things I just said did not turn out fine for a quarter of the field. And just looking at it now, it's hard to believe this even happened. How Esteban Ocon, an Alpine Formula One team, and we'll discuss how Alpine has really been the most quiet in terms of inter-team politics of a constructor in Formula One in recent memory. So, of course, we knew what happened to them about 12, 13 years ago at the end of the 2000s decade, when they were center of controversy in Formula One with the Crashgate scandal, and where Renault went ever since, and their hiatus. And remember, during their hiatus from Formula One, we saw most of the crew members taking part of the Lotus F1 team, which had some fair success before they went out, and Renault pretty much reassumed that their resources again. This is the first year that Renault's premier Formula One program is under the AlphaTauri brand, thus meaning that this win by Esteban Ocon was the first. Did I just say AlphaTauri? Justin, please clarify that for me.
What?
I meant Alpine, not AlphaTauri.
I was about to say.
My mind was thinking about Toro Rosso for a minute. See.
Well.
Alpine, AlphaTauri. The names kind of sound, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo. Your mind's going that way.
But yeah, nobody expected that. But the race was chaotic.
I just wanted to, before we talk about the race here, I just wanted to clarify, because I, of course, unconsciously spoke when I should have spoke consciously about the name, rebranding name. So, if you've ever lived in France or anywhere in Europe, you're aware that there is an Alpine car brand. That is the luxury staple of Renault. That would be like Cadillac for Chevrolet by GM. But they've had Alpine as the face of the racing program, more so in Le Mans than others. Because I've noticed, there's a great presence in luxury car brands in motorsport in sports car racing, a lot more than Formula One. But I mean, yeah, they're on Formula One, but I think a business opportunity came and Renault said, we're going to go to Alpine. And they changed the liveries and everything like that. So under the Alpine name, this is the first win. And as for the Renault Formula One Premier Constructor, this is the end of a 13-year drought that dated back to the Japanese Grand Prix of 2008. You know what happened a week beforehand? The Singapore Grand Prix of 2008. And what happened in that race pretty much caused the fate for Ferrari in the following decade, in the 2010s.
But it's also the scandal.
Renault. Did I say Ferrari?
Crash.
Renault. Crash gate.
Yeah, and it was because of Flavio Briatore and Pat Simmons wanted a caution to benefit Alonso. So Alonso pitted before 2 laps later. Nielsen Piquet was told to crash. And
they did decide, and a year later they had a scandal, and Renault was pretty much thrown out of Formula One for a handful of years. And point I'm trying to make is they never came close to their previous time in the sunlight in F1 since their return in the early to mid 2010s, and pretty much no repeat of Alonso's championships, none of that. So Esteban Ocon, now for you French F1 fans out there, you know he has been in Formula One for quite some time, much like Pierre Gasly, and you know, it hasn't been, in terms of French Formula One drivers, we haven't had a successful pattern that we did 25, 30, especially 35, 40 plus years ago.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's saying, "Oh, who's the next Alain Prost?" Well, there's only one Alain Prost. Let's end that discussion right there. Who might be the successor as a top French Formula One driver? That has been pretty much an imbalanced answer since the days of Alain Prost. And we've seen, you know, Olivier Panis, Jean Alesi. You know, these are guys that have won very briefly in Formula One. They have not been involved in the World Championship in terms of championship contention, as, you know, we saw in the Prost era.
Well, there's some reasons. Like Alesi, when he joined Ferrari, that was when Ferrari started their slump.
Yeah.
In the 90s. When he joined Ferrari, the Ferrari was going downhill with a slump. Yeah, some reasons Alesi was not lucky.
What year did he join Ferrari again?
It was in 1991. Yeah,
so that was the same year that Senna won the championship.
Yeah, like Ferrari was going downhill at part of the 90s. That's when Ferrari was going downhill.
Right.
Which, yeah.
And then I think it was really when Schumacher came into the end of the 90s, going to 2000. That's when Ferrari really shined. I mean, they were superior.
Yeah.
Much like how Hamilton and Mercedes have been superior in the last several years. But looking at it now, it makes sense that, you know, Alpine and how the Renault program altogether, they maybe needed this change for a while. And I was saying before I went in this whole, you know, brand of explanation, or this whole tangent of explanation, why Alpine is named Alpine F1. It's pretty much the premier Renault program. And since the return after the major controversy that happened at the end of the 2000s decade, they've been quietly consistent in terms of employee members, driver rosters, where they finish, where they start. They've never been questionable in terms of, will we see a Renault score points this weekend, or will that pointless streak continue? They've never been that constructor.
Yeah. They've just never been in contention.
But they've never been in the question of, will we see a Renault driver win, or any of that. It just wasn't on the table. Not even Daniel Ricciardo's time in Renault was you know, that level. And even we get this was an upset win. We understand that most of the weekly threats to win Grand Prix races were taken down on the opening lap. We understand that it was on a situation like that, but regardless, it was the fact that Renault and Alpine had put a great car together for Esteban Ocon, and so we were talking about French drivers, right? Pierre Gasly ended a 24-year drought.
Yep.
Between winners from France and Formula One, when it was Olivier Panis at Monaco '96.
Yeah.
And then of course Pierre Gasly, that wasn't crazy enough at Monza last year for the Italian Grand Prix, much like Sebastian Vettel's first win in 2008 for when it was Toro Rosso.
Yeah, and I just realized with Vettel winning there, his first career win in 08, and then AlphaTauri now branded got the win there at Monza 12 years later after Toro Rosso's win in 2008. But yeah, like French drivers, like Alpine, like I know that people say, oh, there was a wreck, but Ocon could have been involved in it. Ocon was close to hitting Lance Stroll and Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
He ended up missing both of them and was second place. After he got by the carnage, he ended up getting up to second.
And you know what? Looking back at it now, if Hamilton, spun his tires when the lights came off, he would have been involved in the wreck. At the rate of how fast Bottas, and the car who was he hit Norris, were sliding in the corner. They had no chance to avoid catastrophe on the opening corner.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss Vettel now, even though he was disqualified and put towards the back.
Honestly, I really don't know why.
We'll explain that in a little bit, but let's talk about Vettel's performance first, and then about the FIA ruling second.
Yeah.
Now, Sebastian Vettel, for I went stupid because I'm a Vettel fan.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm a Sebastian Vettel fan, and he hasn't won a Grand Prix since 2019. It was his last win with Ferrari at Singapore, in a tenure that we thought was supposed to be much better than that, and yet it was just about as well as it was when Alonso joined Ferrari. Everything but a championship kind of thing that was going on. Problems with teammates and all that. But Vettel had his best chance yet to win a Grand Prix, and he went all out from the restart, and how I think the aerodynamics and the downforce really. Part of me felt like here's the downforce kicking in when Vettel tries to pull out, and just it almost looked like a wall of air, or felt like a wall of air got in the way of Vettel and just slowed him down. But
also about Hungary, it's a tough track to pass anyway. It's really tough to make a move at this track. It's so tight. It's a tighter circuit compared to other circuits, so it's so hard to make a pass at the Hungarian Grand Prix. You really have to be really, really close and DRS to be able to make a move. If you're not close enough with DRS, well, you're kind of going to be trying many laps, and it's probably not going to work out.
Here's what I'm going to say is that about this track and just by looking at how this really is puts things into perspective is with Sebastian Vettel. Everybody's saying that Vettel's done. Vettel's career's done. He'll never win. He'll probably get maybe a few more podiums. Yeah, so be it. We saw some veterans do very well, and if anything, he showed that he still has something in him. And we'll talk about that with more drivers, but let's first discuss what happened that got him disqualified. How did Vettel get disqualified? What caused his second place finish to be taken away by the FIA?
Okay, this has been a rule since the 90s, so it's not recently. Fans that think it's recently. There's a rule in the FIA that after every race, you've got to give a 1 liter sample of your fuel. But do you want to know what the Aston Martin team did, which you're not allowed? They gave only 0.3 liters, which is under half of the...
Only under half a gallon, right?
It's 1 liter.
Yeah, half a liter.
Yeah, they only gave 0.3 instead of 1 liter, which is against the rules in the FIA. So, yeah, which really didn't go well. Like, the FIA knows the rules because it's in the rule book, so it's not invented. It's been a rule since the early 90s when this became an issue. Yeah, but rules are rules. You can't fight, and Aston Martin's trying to protest this.
It's no surprise at all that that's what they're going to do because they worked so hard to be up there.
But in
the end, the amount of fuel you have left is the amount of fuel you have left, and if it's under 1.0 liter.
Yep. If it's a 0.3, you give 0.3. You got to give 1 liter. It's been a rule since the 90s, and also them going to try to protest probably not going to work.
Here's the thing, and now this might pose another question for the future of Formula One because we have a new car configuration coming out next year in F1, and that might pose with some new rules. Should this be an opportunity for Formula One and the FIA to make some changes around that fuel load rule? Should they be able to inspect the fuel you had after the race, maybe instead of after the race, before the race? I know they have different park permit rules and different times of the weekend, but between qualifying and race, pay a few guys, give some people some job opportunities, whether it's just people that live close to the track or people that are going to go all around the globe in the World Championship with the FIA in conjunction to inspect these cars.
But the
just
thing is,
have a little sample of everyone's fuels, like taking a blood test before or in these days a COVID test before getting on the plane.
Yeah.
But the thing is about the cars, you got to open them up really. The fuel is in the middle. It's not simple like it's an actual big opening that you got to basically split the car in half to get the fuel out. That's why they got to split the car in half. Basically. Remember Roman Grosjean's crash?
Right.
Martin Brundle was explaining all the fuel is in the middle of the car. That's why they can't get the fuel before the race. It's in the middle of the car.
Yes.
So basically, they got to open up the car to get the fuel, which is
very complicated.
Yeah, trying to do that for every car before a race is going to be kind of
It's just not going to work.
Yeah, that's why it's in the middle of the car, and you got to basically open up the car, which is trying to put that back together. Well, it's just complicated, which that's why they do it after the race.
I'm like looking at Wikipedia, like history of rule changes and everything in between, just by seeing all that stuff. And in all honesty, we don't really know what's going to happen, and it's just sad that it happened to Vettel for the run that he had, and everybody in Aston Martin's going to have a summer break to think about this and prepare a good car together for Vettel at the upcoming race, which is the Belgian Grand Prix in Spa-Francorchamps.
Well, they're not just going to prepare it for Vettel. They got to give a good car to Stroll too. They can't just give one car to a driver. You got to give. But it's Belgium. We'll see how the Aston Martin performs.
Speaking of Spa, we will talk about that later in the podcast after an incredible 24-hour race that happened there. But let's continue on with the results. Now we're just going to go based off the grid. So second place went to Lewis Hamilton. An impressive comeback. He led the first 3 laps of the race. Had a bad call by Mercedes to bring him into the pits after the restart when everybody pitted for softs, I think, or dry tires in general. Mediums. The tires that were not on the wet tire. Column. Hamilton was the only one who stayed out. He thought the track position was going to work. It didn't work. Pitted and had to pretty much for the rest of the race do a backwards cover.
Yeah.
He got his 101st career pole. His 173rd career podium. But it could have very well been a win. Even a few things that happened to Hamilton, to get his 100th win, it has been a little difficult. I mean, just this one race. It's just one race, and this was Hamilton's home playground. If he won this race, Hamilton would have added his name to another record in F1, which would be most wins at a sole circuit.
Yep.
That would have been his 9th win at the Hungaroring and 9th in the Grand Prix.
Yep.
3rd place, Carlos Sainz Jr. kept his car clean from start to finish, and it paid off. Started 15th, his 4th career podium in Ferrari. Now, this is the driver that really, I believe, a lot of people, I mean, actually, a lot of people have been discussing Alonso. But yeah, Fernando Alonso finished 4th. He led 2 laps, started 9th, and as a result, Alpine gets double points. But also, I think this is the driver that helped give Esteban Ocon the win. And I don't know if you watched if you were paying attention to the end of the race as I have, but because the 24 Hours of Spa was going on at the same time, the end of that race while this was going on. When Alonso, the 2-time world champion, was holding off Lewis Hamilton, and Alonso was doing this in worn tires.
Yep.
In a car that is not even close to as powerful as Hamilton's Mercedes. And yet Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, they kept dueling in about 6 to 7 laps straight. And Alonso would come out on top on all the fast parts of the track. I mean, remember, these are like 2 of the most experienced drivers that were on the grid. If you want to include Raikkonen and Vettel and I guess Ricciardo to those lists, Perez, and yeah, you get where I'm going. But holy cow. Happy 40th birthday, Fernando Alonso. But that was... Gosh, it was stellar. It really took me back to the 2000s and 2010, early 2010s.
But also a thing that helped Alonso is trying to pass at the Hungaroring is so tough.
I know it is.
Well, do you know what's kind of ironic? When you were talking about Ferrari and Sainz? Do you know what? I'm watching the Olympics. Guess there's a person in this. I don't remember the sport. Do you know what's the person's name?
What?
It's an Italian named Vanessa Ferrari. Right as you talked about science. Yeah, a person, artistic gymnastics, Vanessa Ferrari. Yeah, right as you talked about a Ferrari, that popped up.
Forza Ferrari. Okay.
But after Alonso was Pierre Gasly, got a top 5 in the fastest lap.
I guess it's a W for all that were from France and watch F1.
Yeah, Pierre Gasly, really solid run for Pierre Gasly.
This guy, Pierre Gasly has been proven. That's been his whole career ever since being put back down from Red Bull's premier constructor roster to their AlphaTauri brand, and that's this is what Gasly's been doing ever since. I don't want to say he's fighting for his career, but he almost certainly is driving like it. He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And with that, fastest lap, incredible.
Yeah.
And maybe, he's in the Red Bull program, but that kind of does help Verstappen in a way, take it away from Hamilton.
But then who
finished behind him?
His teammate, Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda, 6th place. He started 16th, a career best finish of 6th. That puts double points for AlphaTauri.
Good run for Yuki. Yuki's been performing really well this season as a rookie. I know that sometimes in practice he has incidents, but he's showing his speed in his AlphaTauri. I know AlphaTauri has a decent car, but this is his first F1 season. Yuki Tsunoda. He's going to be.
Let's remind you guys once again that 2 years ago, this time he would be competing for an FIA Formula 3 championship.
Yeah, and last year was in Formula 2. He was in Formula 2 last year in 2020, and he's already.
To think about what happened between the end of 2019 and here in halfway through 2021, because everything really went by in a blur with COVID and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe how quick 2 years makes a difference. And this guy, he might just be standing alongside with Max Verstappen in a few years. You never know what's going to look in the future, what the future will hold. But Yuki Tsunoda and, Japan and Formula 1, and we can discuss this a little bit, but, Japan has been looking for that Formula 1 superstar.
Yeah. Yeah, they're still looking for it, but Yuki's showing his speed, which is really good.
Yeah, they've never won. The country's never had a Grand Prix win.
No, they have not.
And it did take a while for that talent to come from Japan in Formula One. In 1975, in Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix was the first time we had one, a Japanese driver. And, of course, we saw Kazuki Nakajima,
Takuma Sato.
What's his name? Kamui Kobayashi got a podium at home in 2012.
Yeah, we had those good drivers, but there's other F1 drivers from Japan that were not too good, like Yuji Ide, Taki Inoue. They were not good in F1. But Yuki Tsunoda, he's showing his pace and all that.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
Let's continue on the results.
Yeah,
let's talk about another constructor. This has been a long way. In fact, it was one of my first predictions of this season was that we were going to get George Russell points for Williams, but I didn't think it was going to be like this. Nicklas Latifi. How about Canada's Nicklas Latifi? First ever points for Latifi. A career best finish of 7th. He started 18th, stayed out of all the chaos in the opening lap. First points for Williams since the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim in 2019. That is literally over 2 years ago now, as we speak.
Robert
Kubica. And that was off a technicality post-race when the Alfa Romeos got excluded from the results.
Yep.
And they were one of the slowest cars on the grid.
Yeah.
But now they've definitely picked up the pace. But Ferrari's little teams haven't done any well since.
Yeah, but Williams, nobody expected this.
I expected Russell to get maybe 9th or 10th, but this
7 and 8. But 7 and 8th, that's impressive for a Williams. Like
George Russell, career best of 8th. That's one spot better than he did in his one-off with Mercedes at the Sakir Grand Prix last year. Williams double points for the first time since the Italian Grand Prix of 2018.
Which was Lance Stroll, Sergei Sorokin. But do you know what's impressive about Williams? How they're running? Like, if people don't remember, at one point, Nicklas Latifi was 3rd at one point, holding off Yuki Tsunoda.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was so weird. I'm like, what? Like, nobody understood that Latifi was there, but Williams, good job by them. They really... Man. Yeah, I feel I was just like Williams have been on this like they've been not getting points for a while. Like they've been not doing good for a while. This is a big confidence booster for Williams.
Huge, and they're going into the break with this mentality.
Yeah. Yep, going into the at the end of the month, the Belgian Grand Prix, which they're gonna have momentum from the points. So that's really good. But then after that, Max Verstappen, P9. I would say
this is a case of survival.
Whew. Definitely.
He got spanked on the right side of the car. The bodywork got hit hard. Luckily, it was a spot where it had nothing to affect the performance of the car. Yeah, it did affect it a little bit, but it wasn't terminal. I thought it was going to be terminal after 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, how many laps the race would go by, that we would see, okay, Max Verstappen's car finally failed. He survived this race and brought it home 9th. And hey, if there's anybody who's glad that Vettel got DQ'd, it would be Verstappen, because that gives him another point. 2 points for 9th and 1 point for 10th. Kimi Räikkönen, who started 13th, gets the final point in this Grand Prix. Now we're going to talk about the guys who did not get points, and Daniel Ricciardo had an ailing car since the accident. He was involved in that first lap accident. Never recovered. Mick Schumacher, career best finish of 12th. Antonio Giovinazzi was the last car to finish the race in 13th. He started from the pit lane, and luckily that helped him stay out of the problem itself. Now, depending on where they put Vettel, either Nikita Mazepin gets his second career best finish of 14th, retired, or it'll be 15th. And then the rest are retirements. Lando Norris had a crash on lap 1 with everybody else. Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, and Lance Stroll, all in the same accident in turn 1. Starting spots in order of the retirement spots. Lando Norris started 6th. Valtteri Bottas started 2nd. Sergio Perez started 4th. Charles Leclerc started 7th. And Lance Stroll started 12th. Now let's talk about what happened on the opening lap. I wanted to hold that conversation off until now that we've reached the retirements. How did this happen? What went wrong? Was the track too wet for intermediates? Tell me what you think.
I don't think it was that. I think it was the braking. I think, well, like, the thing about the track, wet tires would have not done better. But just also, this track, a thing about the Hungaroring, even without rain, the track's tough. But kind of, like, the thing about this, basically, Valtteri made a mistake. Valtteri made a mistake heading into turn 1. He misjudged his braking point. He broke too late. That's what he did. Like, he broke way later, hit Lando, which slid Lando into Max, and Bottas got into Perez, and then Lance Stroll, I don't know what he was doing back there. He hit the grass and spun in the Leclerc, and they started just wrecking in turn 1. And farther down the lap, Perez's car failed, so then Perez was out, and so I just feel it was Valtteri misjudged his braking point by a few meters, because there's meter boards heading into turn 1 saying where your braking points. I think he just misjudged his braking point into turn 1, because that happens.
Yeah, but I think misjudgments happen, but on a wet racetrack, your mistake will not be forgiven.
Yeah.
Your car will turn into a sled in no time, and at that point, there's nothing Bottas could do.
Yeah.
Which was very unfortunate. Norris had a great start, and it ended real quick. And just thinking about Hamilton got very lucky on that lap, on that turn.
Yeah, if he got a worse start, he would have got in the crash. But he got such a good start that he was not involved. And Lance Stroll, I don't know what Stroll was doing. He was in the grass when he was
I guess he played bowling with the cars.
And that's
Leclerc said it on Twitter.
Yeah, because Leclerc got collected by him, and that was just a mess in turn 1. Like, some people did not expect that. Me neither. I didn't expect a wacky... Remember, Joseph, me and you were on Skype yesterday.
I was saying, make this a quickie Grand Prix, win this race, Lewis. Just let's get to 100 so I can sleep after the Spa 24 hours. Every opposite thing that could happen happened. I don't really, want to see a boring race. Like I like to see action from start to finish and interesting stories, but I was too tired to keep up with it yesterday.
But just that crash happening, it's like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was just like, I never expected all of that to happen.
Yeah.
And that wreck took out all the favorites who had the best cars on the grid.
Yeah, it took out Bottas in the Mercedes, Perez in the Red Bull, Max got damage in the Red Bull. It took out Lando in the McLaren, Stroll in the Aston Martin, Ferrari of Leclerc. Right, it took out good names right there. After that crash. Yeah, and that's how Ocon and Vettel were second and third. The Williams were in the points for a bit. Yeah, it was so weird. Just how...
But I was going to say something real quick about this whole thing. To really conclude the situation. And it could have happened to anyone.
Yeah. It could have.
Everyone wants to blame Bottas. We did this to stop Verstappen and
no,
all that crap.
No.
Just get off the internet. Take your terrible, irrational opinions somewhere else. Because I'm tired of opening Twitter to idiots like people that just put out blatant vague stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anybody that was in Bottas's position were in a great state of likelihood to make that mistake that Valtteri Bottas made himself.
Yeah.
And by the way, for you people on Twitter, you don't drive the cars. So just always consider that before you put out a stupid tweet like that.
Yeah,
And,
because
or anywhere on social media. To be fair.
Yeah, like you don't drive the cars like Joseph. Like you don't drive the Mercedes F1 car. We don't know how it drives like.
No, and I understand and respect that. That someone else drives the car, and the point I'm trying to make is that like we got keep it to a valid argument. Bottas made a mistake that he made the easiest the mistake that was easiest to make, and it's very prone on the start of a Grand Prix that it happens even on dry conditions. That could have been a lockup is harder to do than sliding your tires in the rain. So leave it at that. So summer break is here. They don't get another Grand Prix until Belgium at the famous Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps at the end of the month on the 29th of August for round 12 of 23, the second half of the season. So when it really gets real, we have 11 races to go.
Yep.
And the World Championship is on, and it's very on. Hamilton is back where he belongs, on top. I knew that this was going to happen at some point of the season in this World Championship, that Hamilton would reclaim first at some point. To be honest, if this was what I would call a quote unquote normal Grand Prix, he would have been maybe a handful of points behind or in front. But this is a pretty good margin to be at 195 while Verstappen is at 187. Max Verstappen,
8 points.
He's got a lot of work to do in the tracks that are coming up. Before we continue on with the rest of the championship standings here, we have Belgium, and of course, that's going to be a home race for Verstappen. I mean, we already know how much passion there are for Verstappen. It's not that far. That's Verstappen's second home. He is Belgian Dutch. The next race is in the Dutch land.
Zandvoort.
Zandvoort for the Netherlands Grand Prix.
Dutch Grand Prix.
Or the Dutch Grand Prix.
But the thing about the next track suits Mercedes.
Big time. Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah, but Mercedes.
And even worse for you Verstappen fans. We have the Russian Grand Prix. I don't think a Mercedes or anyone outside of a Mercedes has ever won that event.
No, that's not going to be good.
It's only Lewis Hamilton. Wait, did Rosberg win ever there? I know.
Rosberg and Hamilton
and Bottas.
Bottas too.
Yeah, and Bottas won.
Bottas got his very first win, and he should have won there in 2018. I still hold on to that argument.
Well, he won last year too.
Oh, he won last year too.
Yeah, remember the 10-second. Remember Hamilton has penalties and stuff.
Yeah, I know. Like if I was dancing around the
I don't know.
Fire like they did with who last night, Vettel. But
the thing about there's so many good tracks that are helping Mercedes.
If I likes to give things for David Croft and Martin Brundle to talk about,
Well, David Croft and Martin Brundle are at least.
Or was it Karun Chandhok last year? I can't remember who it was.
Well, okay,
let's continue on. Turkey, Istanbul, that's Hamilton's playground. Japan might be Hamilton's playground as well. Coda, I don't know. I mean, I don't see Bottas intervening in any of these races. This might be the stage of the season where team orders are going to kick into Mercedes. They usually like to wait on that.
But the thing is, Mercedes is probably going to be good on the straights again because they just have so much straightaway speed, which helps them.
And then after Coda, we go south to Mexico City.
Yeah,
the Hermanos Rodriguez, that we know how that goes.
Brazil.
Another Hamilton race under the question mark, whether it stays or goes. We'll see how that impacts. Everyone's going to be on the same playing field for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's a new track.
It is a new track.
And then Abu Dhabi might be evenly matched out. So, hey, if the World Championship comes down to the final race, then we're really in for a treat. Even though there are a few tweaks to the circuit. Yes, Marino.
But it's still probably good. It's still probably kind of good. It's probably still going to be kind of boring like last year.
Well, let's not look far back. 2016 was hectic and amazing to watch everybody under that same blanket.
Yeah, but the thing about I remember how boring some people. Do you know what happened at one point that people about the?
Oh track? Yeah, I forgot Twitter makes the rules.
No, I remember there was people from Valache Esports does this thing called backseat driver. Like they react to the F1 races, like their reactions. Do you want to know what two of the creators did? Two of the people that part of it for Abu Dhabi at one point, they were playing Monopoly.
What?
They were playing Monopoly because the F1 race at Abu Dhabi was so boring.
How boring is that?
But it's like Abu Dhabi was kind of boring last year. It was just Max leading all the laps and nothing happened. So they're just like, yep, we'll play Monopoly instead.
I was glad because the two races at Bahrain International Circuit proceeding that were like as story-filled as could be, and I'm just saying, just enough. Let me get to the end of this. I need to relax. And that was granted with the boring race.
But this race... But
who knows what's going to in turn for this year, especially with the tweaked layout. It's not overhauled, but it's a little different.
But I remember you, Joseph. Remember when you wanted a boring race yesterday for Hamilton just to win?
I will never ask for a boring race again after that.
Yeah, because then the race was even crazier. Yeah. So let's continue on this World Championship. So third, Lando Norris, he scored no points, sits at 113. Fourth, Valerie Bottas scored no points, sits at 108. Same with Sergio Perez, he sits at 104 and fifth. Sixth place, Carlos Sainz Jr. climbs up in the standings. He has 83 points now. Leclerc, no points at all, sits at 80. Pierre Gasly climbed up by scoring points. He ties Daniel Ricciardo, who scored no points. So that puts them both 8th and 9th with 50 points. And Esteban Ocon with that big win yesterday. 39 points in 10th. And how many points did he get for a win? 25.
20. What's 39 minus 25? It's not a big
14.
number.
14.
Yep. So outside of those 14 points, he got all those points for a win.
Yep, but still good for Ocon.
Incredible.
Really good. Yep. And Williams is actually, both their drivers have points, which is,
Yeah, that means only the Haas drivers. So 18 of the 20 drivers have scored points this year. That shows you how very improved the competitive nature of F1 has been this year.
Yeah, the last driver with points is Gio with 1. With Raikkonen has 2 points. Russell has 4. And Latifi has 6 points. Yeah, so
all right, let's continue with the constructors real quick.
Yep.
The constructors championship, Mercedes has a back. Like the drivers championship for Hamilton, Mercedes gets the constructors championship back in time for summer break at 303 points. Red Bull Racing Honda, losing end of the stick, 291 points. 12 points behind. It's time to work on closing back the margin. Ferrari, McLaren sit at third and fourth with 163 points each. Great up and down race. I think Ferrari definitely banked off the podium for Sainz.
Yeah, that's why Ferrari's listed ahead of McLaren because
first non-points finish for Norris this season.
Yeah.
He did a whole half of a season getting points. That's incredible.
But after McLaren, you go
Alpine climb big time in the World Championship. 77 points.
Yep. Then it would be AlphaTauri's listed behind them in 6.
That's why really pained, to see Hamilton or Vettel get disqualified because that left Aston Martin at 48 points. They could have been threatened this fight.
Yeah, they're 7th. 8th place after Aston Martin.
Big time points
Williams,
for
Mercedes. 10 points. And then you go to Alfa Romeo Racing Ferrari 9th with 3 points. And then Haas Ferrari 10th place with no points.
No points. Makes sense, Justin. I am not surprised at all.
Oh, I wonder how. Do you know how? But you know.
What's it going to take for a Haas to get points this year?
I don't know. Williams could get. But do you know what's kind of sad I saw about. Do you know how Haas F1 on their Twitter, they were so happy about Mick Schumacher running in the top 10, and they ended up not getting a top 10.
It was likely. After the restart, it was more likely to get points for anybody left in the race than it was for them not to get points. There were more spots to get points than there were for spots not to get points.
Yep, it's proven that how bad the Haas F1 car is.
Yep, reigning F2 champion couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, and people say, oh, give them a better car.
A slightly better car could make a huge difference for a driver like Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, but the thing is, trying to get a good car, the new regulations are basically going to erase that.
I think they're one of the the teams that are kind of laying back from those new regulations. I thought Alpine was like that too, but holy shit, I didn't think they were going to be this good.
But the thing but we'll see how Haas does. They're probably not. We know Haas is not going to get. They're not going to get.
If it's anything, it's going to be slim.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready to talk about what happened in the sports car world?
Yeah.
Wow. What a race. And you know what? You know, maybe being a Ferrari fan worked if you were watching the Spa 24 hours, because it certainly did. Luckily, Wikipedia has the results, so thanks whoever put that on Wikipedia for making my life easier. No, seriously. I love it. Like Wikipedia, I don't care if it's not the same accurate information. I like how it's not distorted.
Well, what happens if somebody starts putting their random friends' names as drivers? Remember that?
This is in 2005, Justin. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, remember there was somebody the Nürburgring in 1977 that was had a random name, Simon. Just Simon.
Okay, people race car drivers used to have like their own names, like pen names and all that stuff.
No, it was not even a source. It was
because on Racing Reference, I think somebody had a different name.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Let's continue on. All right, so how about Iron Lynx? They were waiting for this big win to happen. I knew it was a long time coming, but even greater is that Ferrari took advantage of this opportunity. This is a long time coming for Ferrari. 556 laps were complete, by the way. Let's just get to the point of things. Top three finished on the same lap. Their place finished almost a lap down, a minute 24 behind the overall winner at margin of victory was 3.978 seconds. Fourth on back were lapped twice or more. That's incredible. I find that insane. But yeah, congratulations to French driver Côme Ledogar, Danish driver Nicklas Nielsen, and Italian's own Alessandro Pier Guidi for the Italian team Iron Lynx with their factory-backed Ferrari 488 GT3 on winning the 2021 73rd annual Spa 24 hours. And as for Ferrari, this is one of their worst races on record in sports car racing. And Justin, we know how good they've been in these endurance races.
Yeah.
But this has never been their playground in this history. And I mean, this is an old race. It actually started 1 year after the 24 Hours of Le Mans started, 1924. But this is only the fourth time that Ferrari has won the Spa 24 Hours. And it looked like they were really more focused on the other classes, the lower categories, and just really using this as a preparation for Le Mans, because in comparison to the other other constructors, Ferrari had more close-based program to their Le Mans program from the ground up. Iron Lynx and of course are competing in Le Mans with those same rosters. Most like 70 or 80% of them. Porsche runs just factory drivers for most of the time. So 1949, Ferrari got their first win at the Spa 24 Hours, right? A few years later, 1953, they got another one. It took them 51 years to win again in 2004. I mean, that's like a Toronto Maple Leafs number right there. 2004. And the 2004 race was kind of an interesting one. With the pair of 4 drivers, 2 Italian drivers, 2 Swiss drivers, and the margin of victory was a lap. The drivers, they drove a Ferrari 550 GTS Maranello, a beautiful car. And the drivers were Lilian Briner, Enzo Calderari, Luca Capolari, and Fabrizio Golan. Let's just say that it was a huge win on Ferrari's part because they were waiting for this for so long. Well, they had to wait again 17 more years, and I thought that it was going to happen again, that we might go 20 or more years without another Ferrari winning the Spa 24 Hours, and guess what? That wasn't the case. Iron Lynx. How about Iron Lynx? They came prepared in this one and knew how to stay and withhold the pressure in the rain. Rain was a huge part in how they won this race. They stayed calm. They took a few risks, but they stayed, they stayed in the same forward direction as best as they could. So a lot of teams cannot say the same. It was a difficult event. And you know how weather runs in Spa. That part of Belgium, Stavelot, it's unforgiving. So congratulations to those drivers getting the win. Let's go class by class, top 5 in each class. Second place overall, and second on the lead lap and in class was the number 32 Team WRT Audi Sport, Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo, Dries Vanthoor, Charles Weerts, and Kelvin van der Linde were the drivers for that car. And Dries Vanthoor was the driver who was racing in that car towards the end. And we saw on the kink on with about 9 minutes to go, Alessandro Pier Guidi made a daring, risky pass on the outside in the rain, which I thought was going to be a 2-car tangle up. Who knows what would have happened if he was just a millisecond off. Or if the car was going to snap around. But that was a daring move, and honestly, that's why they won, because they were incredible. Third place were the quiet contenders. Aston Martin didn't really have too many big names on their rosters for this year, but Garage 59 showed up with a factory lineup for their Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT3, the final car to finish on the lead lap, with Nicky Tim, Marco Sorensen, 2 Danes, and Ross Gunn, the British driver. Great run for them. They really held into the fight from start to finish. Fourth place went to car number 37, the sister car to the second place car. Number 37, Audi Sport Team WRT, Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo with factory drivers Robin Freins, Dennis Lind, and Nico Mueller. I thought the Porsches were going to really take advantage of this event with their great factory lineup, but actually that wasn't meant to be. Their highest finisher in Porsche was the number 47 KCMG, Porsche 11 GT3R. Nick Tandy, Lawrence Vanthoor, and Maxi Martin drove in that car. And I don't know, they had a good run, but it was just too little too late. Sixth place went to another Audi, Centilic Racing, number 25. Audi R8 LMS GT3 with Patrick Niederhauser, Christopher Haas, and Marcus Winkelhock. And I thought they could have contended, but I didn't know how much power was underneath the hood of that Centilic racing machine. As you know, their foray in GT3 racing is a little bit like they hop from manufacturer to manufacturer and don't have that same support in the WEC. Jota Sport, number 38. I think if there was a car of the day, and not like driver of the day in F1, but like car of the day award, I would give it to Jota Sport. Number 38, Jota. McLaren 720S GT3 with Ben Barnicoat, Rob Bell, and Ollie Wilkinson. They were in the fight for most of this race.
Yeah.
And we don't like McLaren, they don't invest as much in GT3 as other contenders do, but that was just incredible. We got to see them have a say in this fight. Now, let's just round to the top 10, then we'll go to the other classes. Eighth place was the number 63 Orange 1 FFF Racing Team Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo with the factory lineup of Marco Bortolotti, Andrea Caldarelli, and Marco Mappelli. Now, these guys were leading for most of the race, going into the Saturday portion, heading into Sunday. But these guys, the team ran into some trouble. I can't recall what hour that was, but they had spent a long time in the pits. Were out for too long when it started raining again. Little things took them out of the hunt. And I was interested in seeing if Lamborghini can join the list and win this event. But it just wasn't meant to be. And speaking of Lamborghini, this week during the processions leading to the 24 Hours of Spa, an executive said that it's possible Lamborghini could join Le Mans again as an overall contender. Maybe as as a hypercar LMDH program. Who knows? But now that's a rumor, and it's up in the air. 9th place went to the Team Attempto Audi Sport team number 66. Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo with Mattia Drudy, Christopher Mies, and Dennis Marshall. And in 10th place, running at the top 10 overall, and in the top 10 in the pro class with number 89, AKA ASP Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo with Lucas Auer, Timo Boguslavski, and Felipe Fraga. Let's talk about the other classes now, Justin.
Yeah.
Let's start off with the silver class winner, finishing 11th place overall. On lap 551 was the number 90 Mad Panda Motorsport Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. Rick Breukers, Patrick Kujala, Ezekiel Perez Compank, and Ricardo Sanchez were the lineup for that class-winning car. Second place in class was the number 7 Toksport WRT Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo with Axel Jeffries, Paul Petit, Oscar Tunjo, and Marvin Diasant. They finished actually one lap behind the class winner in 14th or 13th overall. One spot behind them in 14th overall was the number 159 Garage 59 Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT3 with Valentin Haas-Klote, Nikolai Kjagergaard, Alex McDowell, and Tuomas Tuyala. I think I said that right. Finishing 14th overall, one lap behind the class winner as well. That's your class podium. 4th place was the number 99 Attempto Racing Audi R8 LMS GT3. And 5th place in class was the number 40 SPS Automotive Performance, finishing 21st overall in the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. All right, let's move on to the Pro-Am class. Pro-Am class, I had a feeling that this was going to be a little bit lopsided. I'm actually surprised that AF Corsa went in this direction, but considering the fact that Le Mans is the main focus here, as it's as we're in an unusual year for the second year in a row, because of Le Mans being in late August, I could kind of understand why they did this, but they put some pretty good star drivers with a few amateurs to be eligible for Pro-Am honors, and it's kind of hard to believe that the winning lineup is in the Pro-Am class, but they still got the win. A win is a win. And they finished a lap ahead of everybody else in that category, including their teammate that finished second. The winner in that class was the number 53 AF Corsa Ferrari 488 GT3. Duncan Cameron, Matt Griffin, Miguel Molina, and Reno Mastronardi. 16th overall. Is that? I'm a little surprised that they didn't finish, 6th overall or better. You'd think they would do well, but great. I guess a good run for them, maybe. It was great. Give credit when credit's due. 1-2 finish for the team in class. Number 52 AF Corsa Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo finished a lap behind on lap 549. 17th overall with Andrea Bertolini, Louis Machiels, Alessio Rovera, and John Wartick. 3rd place, running up the class podium, was the number 77 Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo with Sandy Mitchell, Miguel Ramos, Leo Machiski, and Henrik Chavez. 4th place in class was the number 93 Sky Tempesta Racing Ferrari 488 GT3, finishing 19th overall. And 5th place in class was the number 61 Earl Bamber Motorsport Giga Racing with Porsche 911 GT3R. I think they had factory support as well. And I guess one of Earl Bamber's relatives was in that too, Will Bamber. Now let's talk about the AM class. Only 2 showed up for this event, or for this class in this event. 33rd overall was where the class winner finished, completing 518 laps, 38 laps behind the overall winner. Number 166, Hegeli by T2 Racing, Porsche 911 GT3R, with Dennis Busch, Mark Bassing, Peter de Curtens, and Manuel Lauk. 3 German drivers and a Swiss driver for a Swiss team in a German car. I guess it's a good combination for a win. unfortunately, they didn't have too much competition as second place in class. The only other car in the category was the number 23 Hubert Motorsport Porsche 911 GT3R with Nico Menzel, Jacob Schiel, Nicholas Lutzweiler, and Ivan Giacomo. Actually, the last car to finish the race overall, completing 395 laps minus 161 from the overall leader. So, Justin, let's look back at this event. Compared to last year, it feels like we're comparing apples to oranges. Different weather conditions, it's where it's supposed to be. We get the fans back, more entries.
Yeah, but there was, if people don't remember, there was one point, people didn't know why there was yellow flags. We didn't figure out until later on of what happened.
And it was scary. For a moment in time, we did not know what was going on, and considering the track was Spa-Francorchamps, it's happened many times before. These bad accidents happen.
And I end up finding out what happened, and I sent a picture of one of the cars to Joseph, and then somebody caught video on a track camera, and it was a bad accident. Yeah, which
as much as safety has evolved for the better in motorsport, it could have turned very bad just by the way the crash happened. If it happened a little differently. Yeah,
the crash was started. The first person to spin out was the 114 entry, driven by Jack Aitken. He was the first person to spin, and he was the first person to spin out. And then there was other cars plowing in, and there's just debris everywhere.
Frank Pereira and the Emil Fry Racing 163.
Yeah, and the car, Joseph, remember that photo I sent you about the car? That was Aitken's car that was destroyed in the photo I sent you the other day. That photo of the car that was destroyed was the 114 of Aitken. It was just a bad accident.
Yeah, the other drivers that were involved, besides the Emil Fry Lamborghinis of Aitken and Pereira, this is the 71 Iron Lynx Ferrari of Davide Rigon, a factory driver for Ferrari, and Kevin Estra in one of the favorites to win, the Renault Racing Porsche number 21. They were all involved in that accident, and all drivers were taken to a hospital. I guess the most severe right now is still Jack Aitken. He did report that that in this crash in Rodillion, his injuries were non-life-threatening, and he sustained a broken collarbone, a fractured vertebrae, and a very small lung contusion or lung confusion. A lung contusion.
Yeah.
Honestly, the fact that he was talking in a hospital bed the next day shows you how far safety has come, but how much more of that needs to be done. People are saying that the layout of the track has changed through the years. Maybe they should take a look at how the transition from the Rouge to Rodillion needs to be, or whatnot. Because we go 2 years back, and that was the death of Formula 2 and F1 prospect Antoine Hubert.
Yeah, with that crash up there, and it's like.
And the career-altering crash of young Juan Manuel Carrera.
Yeah, who's currently running in F3, but he injured his foot, and he had just multiple injuries from that crash up there. I'm hoping that they make some improvements for safety because anything like motorsports, like I know people say, cars are so safe, but it can still happen.
It's never safe. Never will be.
No,
go hundreds of kilometers per hour in a car.
Yeah,
like this can always happen, and even for the guys off the track. And I do want to share my condolences to the family of the 67-year-old track marshal who lost his life while in service at Brands Hatch circuit in the UK.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you might have already, and I wouldn't show it to anybody who has a fan of heart. It was even hard for me, who have seen a lot of these things happen, to watch it multiple times. But in a touring car race of Brands Hatch, two cars, I think a Civic and another car collided. In the Civic, I think it was, started barrel rolling out of control and climbed over the fencing separating the track premises and stuff that should not be, in conjunction with the track. And the marshals were there where they're supposed to be. And it was a freak accident, just terrible to see it happen. And I think everybody takes these track marshals for granted, but it's their job, or for some, their volunteering opportunity to make it as a safe environment for these racers as it can be. All right, so I think we've covered enough of the Spa 24 hours. For a lot of these teams and drivers, this is their last dance before Le Mans. For others, it's a one more trip to America and back to France.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're really getting to the thick of it. Le Mans is there. We're almost here. We'll discuss that a little bit more when we talk about the IMSA race that's coming up this weekend from Road America. But till then, we got some other races. A lot of events that happen between now and the races that we're going to preview. So let's get started. Let's go back to the Hungaroring and talk about the W Series. Should we be surprised by this? Jamie Chadwick wins again.
Yeah.
Hungaroring, pole position, fastest lap. Be glad if you're her competitors that they don't award points for that.
Yeah, she led every lap from the pole. Yeah. It was just domination. She won by 10 seconds.
She has a gatekeeper between another championship and Jamie Chadwick's.
That's Alice Powell.
Exactly. And Alice did everything she could, but second was all there was.
Yeah.
Third place, how about Marti getting third on the podium? Remember, top 10 in this championship get points. No bonus points. It's all on track. Third place went to Nerea Marti, the Spaniard. Fourth place went to Irina Sidorkova from Russia. Fifth place was scored by Bitsky Vitzer. Sixth place went to Emma Kimi-Lainen, the Finnish driver. Seventh place went to Marta Garcia. Eighth place, Belen Garcia, no relation to each other.
Yep.
Ninth place went to Bruna Tomaselli. And Jessica Hawkins rounded out the top 10, finishing in the final points position. The Drivers' Championship after the first half of the season, because this was round 4 of 8. And like F1, these girls have a great break in between to the second half of the season. But this is where I start finding things that are just unbelievable to look at, statistically speaking. So Jamie Chadwick is the championship leader by 1 point.
Yeah.
Remember, all the points are awarded for what you do on track. Nothing from pole or fastest lap. I may need to put those words differently because you get those on track too. But second place in the standings, Alice Powell, 72 points. But this is what I find incredible. All the way down to 37 points, you find third place Nerea Marti.
Yep.
Fourth place, Sarah Moore. She really paid a big price for not getting points in the Hungaroring, finishing 15th, dropping down to fourth, sitting at 36 points going into the second half. So if Sarah Moore wants to get into this championship equation, she needs pretty much perfection. She needs to be Jamie Chadwick for the second half.
Yeah.
But even then, you still got Alice Powell. Fifth place, Emma Kimi-Lainen, 35 points. A struggling start to the season for Kimi-Lainen, but
she's trying to get.
But this is where where I thought a possible threat for this championship is went down in flames, because Fabian Wohlman, 34 points is a reminder that 1 point is for 10th.
Yeah.
So you really have to be in like the top 5 for most of this W Series championship, or you might have a quick goodbye to the points lead, or top 3 or top 5 like Wohlman. Sidorkova, up and down. 34 points, tied with Wolwin. Belen Garcia, 18 points. Bitsky Vitzer, she had a terrible start at the Red Bull Ring, but it's only gotten better since then.
Yeah,
18 points. Expect better results.
Yeah, she did good in the 2019, but just not a good start of the season compared.
No. Hey, at least our worst tracks are out of the way. Or track. Yeah. And Bruno Tomaselli, 12 points, sits rounding out the top 10. So yeah, what do you think about the W Series and now that we're halfway through the season? And in this season, of course, it's a lot different from the 2019. A lot less experimental, more organized. We have teams. They're part of the F1 Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah, it's
what
interesting.
What do you like about the W Series?
I like there's competition. It's not just there's passes. Like, it's interesting. Like, other than the domination, sometimes there's passes. I've seen brilliant moves by drivers, and some of the moves I've seen on track, it's been so impressive. Yeah,
makes the racing fun to watch. Because if you really look at it, it's more than just a series for women. This is an all-star showcase of women. Some of the best female drivers, period, are on the same car with the same power limits, everything. They're the same Formula 3 cars.
Not that actually.
Really,
it's not the Joseph. It's not the F3 cars. It's the F3 Regional Series, which is another series.
They're kind of around the same boat.
Yeah,
it's a little different from what you see in the FIA Formula 3, but the point I'm trying to make is that this just shows you where the talent's coming from and who has the upper end.
Yeah.
And Jamie Chadwick's really racing more than just to defend her W Series championship. Because if you look at the Williams F1 program at the end of the season, if I'm not mistaken, there are 2 open doors for drivers.
Well,
and Roy Nissany could be there. I think Latifi might show up again.
Yeah, because most likely
Bottas started his career with.
Yeah, and people are saying that
not to see Russell and Mercedes.
But
if we're not talking about those drivers, then we should be talking about Jamie Chadwick, who's been doing a lot of the testing with them. Or Jack Aiken, which I think he's getting nicely adjusted to sports cars, and you see he's not driving a Mercedes sports car anymore. So,
yeah.
So she's driving more than just another chance at a title. She's looking for, a spot on Sunday's grid. Their next race will be on the 28th of August for round 5 of 8 to kick off the second half at Spa-Francorchamps. Great track. Can't wait to see what happens there. All right. Let's talk stock cars till the preview of our next race. We'll do ARCA. We'll start with the National Tour and then the West Series. We have the Winchester 200. Ty Gibbs picked up the win. It was so far from smooth race, even for the leaders.
Hey.
Ty Gibbs led 30 laps, but it wasn't easy. He came from an early race incident, had a damaged car to deal with all night long, but he still got the job done. Another example of why Ty Gibbs is the future of motorsports. Great win.
Yeah, but
how about Greg Van Alst? Let's talk about second real quick. Greg Van Alst, an owner driver. Career best of second. Let's go. This guy's credit.
But there's controversy about the win of Ty Gibbs, third place driver. Corey Heim. Yeah, Corey Heim led 175 laps and started on pole. Yeah. Yeah, he was not too happy with Ty Gibbs. It was interesting.
Right. His fellow Toyota factory driver punt him out of the way. And Corey Heim did finish third. But then again, he'll always think, overnight, or that will keep him from sleeping. Hey, what could I have done? What if this didn't happen, if that didn't, if they just stayed cool and collected in that lap, who knows? How about Ford's 4th and 5th? Tad Moffitt 4th, Taylor Gray 5th, and yeah, I don't know if the Chevy guys are going to be too happy about Taylor Gray, but I think, if anything, Taylor Gray made it harder for him to win after taking out the 2 factory-supported Chevrolets in the field, Daniel Dye and collectively Nick Sanchez.
Yep.
All right, back to the standings. That means back to the Toyotas, where they just supreme in the series. Ty Gibbs, he has 629 points after 12 rounds. Corey Heim is 7 points behind, with 622 claimed. So there you have it. The top 2 now. Tab Moffitt's going to need miracle after miracle. He might just lose it at this point in terms of hopes for a championship. But he's in 3rd. It's not bad. I think it's his best ever run. 542 points. Nick Sanchez, the highest
rookie
Chevrolet in 4th.
Highest rookie.
And rookie. 516 points. Andrew Dollar, who's not going for the championship, sits at 5th with 312 points.
Yeah.
Their next races this weekend, they'll be part of the mega weekend for NASCAR at Watkins Glen. The Watkins Glen 100, round 13 of 20. I can't wait to see what that looks like. It might be an interesting one as well. Let's go west. Let's go to the Rocky Mountains. Colorado 150 to conclude the first half of the ARCO Menard Series West. We got the Colorado 150. How about Joey East and his Ford program? Actually, they've been picking up more factory support now and some help from David Gilliland Racing as well. Joey East led 18 laps to get his first ever win in the ARCO Menard Series West. How did he do it? He had to hold off former reigning champion Jesse Love. Love led 101 laps in that race. And usually when that happens, there's no turning back. But Joey East found a way to stop it. Jake Drew kept his car clean all night long to finish 3rd. Cole Moore for Bill McAnally Racing led 25 laps to finish in the top 5 and 4th. And Eric Nasciamento, 5th place. Todd Souza. How about Todd Souza, age 57? Pole position leads 6 laps to come on 7th. And he actually is part of this championship hunt, which I find awesome for the owner-driver. Speaking of this championship, across all the ARCA series, this is going to be the most competitive one. I can tell you for that because we're halfway through. Jesse Love, the reigning champion, has 154 points. How is Bill McAnally Racing teammate Cole Moore
2 points behind?
2 points behind, and 152 points. That was something. He's already exceeded the performance of both Gracie Trotter and who was the other guy for Bill McAnally last year? Gio Salzi and Holly Holland all combined. Like that's where Cole Moore's sitting. So he can really pose a threat to Jesse Love.
Yeah, Cole Moore really impressive this season.
But this is what I find seriously cool, and this might be a great story. 57-year-old Todd Souza sits in 3rd with 150 points. That's 4 behind the championship leader. Now, who has 9 points behind the championship leader, tied for 4th and 5th? These guys, I believe, are also going to go for the full season championship. I think they are guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Dean Thompson, Jake Drew, 145 each.
Yeah, they're actually teammates. They drive for the Sunrise Racing. Those 3 entries.
That's the Broncati entries.
Yeah.
And you know what that tells me? That this championship is going to come down to the wire. We have Irwindale again, and I think this is as much of a driver's racetrack as it's going to get. In California, Irwindale 150, round 5 of 9 on August 21st. I feel like we're going to see something. I feel like we're going to see something we haven't seen before in the season yet, and it's going to be incredible. I said it, time after time, it's going to take till round 3 to get to the bottom of how the championship is going to look like, because the first 2 races we had a combo event that was part of a Cup Series weekend, and we also had a companion with the Cup Series. And Phoenix and Sonoma have more than the entries that are running for the championship. And these last rounds 3, 4, and 5, the last 3 races, now we get to see who's in this fight. And to see the margin looking like this, I'll go out of my way to watch the next few races. Can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, the ARCA West series. It's always interesting to see the series. Like, people say, "Oh, local series are boring and all that." It's not boring. This is way better. Like,
if anything, I think last year the West series lost its touch because the most severe of the protocols for COVID-19 were on the West Coast states, which of course where the West series runs, West Coast. So yeah, there you have it. Let's go to the East Coast up north, and not that north yet, but a little more north before Canada. Of course, New England, or in this case, New York, at Oswego Speedway. Patrick Emerling.
Oswego,
Lancaster. Whoops.
Oswego's Lancaster Speedway.
Lancaster Speedway. See, this is why I need to start talking consciously. This was incredible. It came down to a hairline between Patrick Emerling and his rival Justin Bonsignor. They led almost the same amount of laps, 30 and 31, respectively.
Yeah, it was close.
But this is what he needs to do to get those points, as many points as possible to win this championship, is to catch up to Justin Bonsignor. That's what Emerling just did. He stole it from Bonsignor.
Yeah, but it's good. Yep.
Third place went to Max McLaughlin. Fourth place, John McKennedy, who led 89 laps more than anybody else, and Eric Dale rounded up the top 5.
Yeah, and also to note, McKennedy started on the pole. Yeah, McKennedy had pole position. He could have won, but he got passed, and
Owen really would have done him well in the points, though. That's for sure, looking at it now. But it did help him climb up.
Yeah.
Justin Bonsignor holds on to the points lead. He has 333 points, while Patrick Emerling is second with 327 points.
Third place.
Yep, it's close. Third place with 279 is John McKennedy. Kyle Bonsignor is fourth with 276 points, and with 267 points is Eric Dale in fifth. This weekend they'll be back at Stafford for 150 on this weekend or Friday.
Yeah, Friday night race. Yep.
Around 9 to 14. It'll be great to watch. All right, now let's go up north. Let's talk about the start of the long-awaited NASCAR Pinty Series in Canada.
Yep.
They began at Sunset Speedway in Ontario to kick off the 2021 campaign. 11 races total, and the first being a doubleheader. It was held up by rain, but the results speak for themselves. Raphael Sar, and I'm sure a lot of the competitors are mad at GMS Racing and saying, "Come on, Mari Gallagher, why'd you release him? Now he's tearing our competition."
But and also, do you want to know what's impressive about his wins? That was the first wins for White Motorsports that he drives for, the number 80, which is usually driven by Donald Teague. He had an injury, so that's why Lassard's in this car. And he dominated both. He did good in both races.
Yeah, indeed, it was a clinic, I'd say, for Lassard. Second place went to Andrew Ranger, former champion of the series, in race 1. Alex Tagliani third. So talk about veterans in this top 5. We had Kevin Lacroix in fourth and Shea Gamble in fifth. Sixth place went to Louis-Philippe Dumoulin. Seventh place, Marc-Antoine Cameron. Alex Gwinnett, eighth. Trajan Lapsevich, who led 22 laps and started second, finished ninth. And Larry Jackson rounded out the top 10. Mark Dilley finished 11th.
Yeah.
Now, this is the killer right here. Pete Shepard the third. Pole position, 82 laps led. What happened, Justin?
There was contact. Pete Shepard tried to pass. Pete Shepard was on the outside. And then Alex Tagliani got bumped from behind, which spun Pete Shepard into the outside wall, destroying the right front. Which really sucks for Pete Shepard. He dominated. Like 82 laps led. He led over half the race. I felt bad for Pete.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people on the track. Chantel Kalika in the Mike Curb entry finished 13th. Brent Wheeler 14th. Brett Taylor, 15th. TJ Renault-Mato, 16th. DJ Kennington and Dexter Stacey round out the field. The only retirement went to Dexter Stacey, who crashed down on lap 65. Now let's talk about the next race. So race 2 of the Sunset Speedway doubleheader weekend. Raphael Assard wins again, and to the surprise of nobody, he really just worked twice as hard to get the win. DJ Kennington, a longtime veteran of the series, second. LP Dumoulin, third. Trayden Lapsevich, fourth. Brett Taylor, fifth. We can just go down the top 10. Sixth place went to Alex Gwinnett, Larry Jackson, seventh. Mark Dilley, eighth. Alex Tagliani and Shea Gemmell running out the top 10. Chantel Kalika, Antoine Camrad, Pete Shepard, the third. So just he never really recovered from that first mishap in race 1. Brent Weller, 14th. By the way, Weller drives a Dodge, if we could clarify that. Gigio Renault-Mato, Andrew Ranger, Kevin Lacroix, and Dexter Stacey. So Ranger and Lacroix already had problems in race 2, which will set them back in the standings because we're already 2 races down. And it's an interesting schedule by the looks of it. So I don't know if the standings are. Yeah, the standings are here. I found them. They're up on Race Reference. So Raphael Assard, after 2 races, he has the championship lead, 95 points, a 16-point gap over Louis-Philippe Dumoulin, with 16 points behind him, 79 points. Third place, Trayden Lapsevich with 77 points. Alex Tagliani is fourth with 76 points, and Alex Gwinnett is fifth with 74 points. Let's just go down the top 10 as, it's only the first 2 races, so you guys can understand what it's going to look like getting to the next 2 races. Shea Gemmell with 73 points. Andrew Ranger, 72 points. Larry Jackson, 71 points. DJ Kennington and Marc-Antoine Cameron, as well as Mark Dilley, tied 3-way tie for 69 points. Running up the top 10. Yeah, you knew when I had to, find a way to say it that what the points we were going to get. But so yeah, they have a week off. They'll come back and at the streets of Trois-Rivières in Quebec, a street course race, and this is one of my favorite tracks. I think that I think IndyCar used to race there before. Trois-Rivières, it's just such an underrated street course. Like I've watched the Penny series there before. It's an interesting circuit. They had Indy Lights there. Yeah. Indy Lights, yeah. I think right there's an opportunity to have a race there, but the Trois-Rivières, that's an interesting track, and of course, like the rest of the world, the street circuits it was just too far fetched to have them last year, so. Yeah. I see our traditional calendar again. What are the other races that are coming around? So we have Trois-Rivières, street course. No, they're running Circuit ICAR for round 4. They're going to use the road course layout again. Yep. And that track is Mirabel, Quebec.
Yep. And then they have right after, they have Autodrome Chaudière, which is a short track. Which Autodrome Chaudière, that's where Lassard got his first career win.
It's like his hometown track.
Yeah, he's not far from that track, so he ran there back in.
And then we have Motorsport, Bowmanville, Ontario.
Double
in the Greater Toronto area. This track is pretty much the most familiar road course for any of the drivers in the Pinty Series grid. Yep. A doubleheader there on the weekend that was supposed to be the Truck Series, but of course NASCAR had to they needed to make sure that it was good to go at a certain point of the year, and when they reached that point a few months ago, it was not meant to be. So instead, the Pinty Series will hold a doubleheader to fill the void. Should be fun to watch. Then they go to Flamborough Speedway for a doubleheader, 2 125s. Flamborough Speedway in Flamborough, Ontario. I think what's that, in October? Oh, it's actually no, it's 1 week after Bowmanville. Oh, September is the end of the season. Delaware, the Pinty Fall Brawl. in Delaware, Ontario. No, it's not in Dover. Everybody says Dover.
No, it's not.
All the casual fans that watch, the PG series because the racetrack has, prone to good finishes. They always say that.
But like the Penny series started late, but usually the Penny series goes from May to September. Usually it starts in May at CTN. Usually, a regular Penny series season starts at CTMP. They have 2 CTMP races a year usually, and the start of the season is usually CTMP. But because of this, they can't.
A lot of the provinces had their own severe restrictions, and they're actually lifting them.
But we don't have many races in the West. It's all Quebec, Ontario.
Right. They don't go to Manitoba, Saskatchewan, BC. Or Alberta, BC, they don't go west like they usually do. They have like a Western tour.
Yeah. They used to have a race here, but their last time they raced in Nova Scotia was 2019.
I don't think they run in the Eastern Maritimes either.
But the reason they actually were not even on the provisional schedule in 2020, they just didn't sign a contract. So
without the COVID coming into play.
Yeah. Nova Scotia's track, which was the nearest Penny Series track. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't have a contract for 2020 at all.
All right, so that's the end of all the races that we had to recap.
Really, Jim?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh wait.
I saw your thing on Skype because it's the Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey 200. I know it's a long sponsor title. Yeah.
All right, let's discuss Watkins Glen now that we just dove into that. All right, Watkins Glen International. This is like the Woodstock of motorsports. Such a popular venue. All the what do you call it? All the music festivals are there. It's not far from Woodstock, anyways. It's such a different vibe going to Watkins Glen now. It makes me want to go there one day. It's like Watkins Glen is to Sebring, is to Road America, is to Laguna Seca. It's just Mosport, It's like a classic closed circuit. Everybody loves to go to. Used to be the main staple of the U.S. Grand Prix. All right, let's talk about the history of this race. Last race was held 2 years ago. Chase Elliott won. In fact, he won back-to-back. He's looking to go 3 in a row. First race was held in 1957. It was Buck Baker that won the race. And remember, they had spread out dates until it came back to the schedule for good in 1986. Jeff Bodine won that race, and it's been a fixture ever since. Or Tim Richmond at one. I don't know. I just think Jeff Bodine. Well, they both drove for Hendrick, but that's the point. Who has the most wins? Tony Stewart, 5 times winner. Jeff Gordon, 4 times a winner. Mark Martin, 3 times he's won. Then here are the 2-time winners. Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Marcus Ambrose, Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott. Only Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott on that list are going to be in the race this weekend. Most wins by a team. Best you drive for Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, if you want to go victory lane here. 8 for Hendrick, 7 for Gibbs, 3 for Roush from Racing. And then the only team that is not in the Cup Series anymore is Blue Max Racing, 2 wins. And then Richard Childress Racing, 2 wins. Richard Petty Motorsports, 2 wins. As for manufacturers, drive a Chevy if you want to win here. 19 times they've won. They're looking for win number 20. 8 times a Ford has won. 4 times for Toyota, and then the defunct manufacturers, Pontiac 4 wins, Mercury and Buick combined for 1 win, or 2 wins each, or 1 win each. Makes 2 wins. Just all those stats, and just look at these winners. All right, let's look at the drivers that have won here before. Billy Wade.
I'm just looking. Okay.
Billy Wade, Steve Park, Robbie Gordon, Juan Pablo Montoya, Marcus Ambrose, AJ Allmendinger. What do they all have in common?
they got their first career win there?
Not necessarily. No.
What?
Robbie Gordon got his first career win at New Hampshire. The point I'm trying to make is that these guys weren't always the fixtures to win every weekend in the Cup Series. But this was a track that they could win. And we have 4 races left in the regular season. And this would pose for a great opportunity for such circumstance like that to happen again.
Oh,
you want to win to get in. Better do it now.
I actually found my driver I'm picking for this one.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay, this driver stats. He has 3 starts here. In 3 starts, he has 0 wins, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s, 14 laps led, and average. He has 2 top 5. Okay, 14 laps led. Average start of 14.7, and he has an average finish of 8. He has a best finish of 3rd and a lowest finish of 17th. This driver, he has 0. I say 0 career wins. Driver of the number 99 Chevy, Daniel Suarez, is going to get career win number 1 at Watkins Glen.
That I did not expect you to say Daniel Suarez. I thought you were going to say something like Matt DiBenedetto.
But what? Yeah, like Suarez, 3 starts, average finish of 8. That's impressive. That's yeah. That's like I feel like he's done good at Watkins Glen. Like when he ran for Stuart Haas and Joe Gibbs, this has been his best road course. Like he's ran better here than he's ran at Sonoma. Like when he drove for those teams, like he's good at this track. But he's good at Watkins Glen, which is really interesting. So I feel like, Daniel Suarez for Trackhouse is going to lock himself in the playoffs. So basically causing more stir of who's going to be out, not in the playoffs.
Wait, what?
Like, remember what happened? Almirola won last week at New Hampshire, which shook up the playoffs. I feel like it's going to shake up the playoffs even more with Suarez getting a win.
Because whatever is complicated is going to happen. That's just how life works.
Who's your
especially
pick?
From running last. See, I'm not just picking, but I'm hoping we see a winner that has won already for the rest of the season so that we don't have to deal with this. So for that, I am going to pick Chase Elliott. He's going to win 3 in a row at Watkins Glen. And Chase Elliott is going to do something that hasn't been done since Mark Martin. Yeah, Mark Martin. From 1993 to 1995. Win 3 in a row at the Glen.
Well, he's still got Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's still there, too.
I forgot Kyle Larson will steal stuff. He stole Chase Elliott's thunder at Sonoma.
Yeah, he can do the same thing again because Larson's decent at Watkins Glen. And he's in a Hendrick car, which Hendrick is fast.
And Larson is fast.
Yeah, so next series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series has the long ass title that just what's wrong with long titles, Joseph?
It's complicated, and we post on Twitter, and we have the hashtag that name. We're gonna lose characters.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey 200. That's not that long.
Zippo, come on, you and your plastic bats. Get back to Watkins Glen. I don't want to have to ever type that name out again.
What's wrong with I
like peanut butter, right?
But it's whiskey. Peanut butter whiskey. Yeah,
peanut butter whiskey. Yeah, that we're not talking about apples to oranges here. We're talking about like apples to tomatoes. That's how far we're going at this point.
Oh my God.
But I guess sponsor. I'd like to have more NASCAR opportunities. You like to see more people invested in the sport. That's always a good. That's always a good deal.
Yeah.
Let's look at the history of that event. Unlike Cup and trucks, these guys don't have to worry too fast till getting to the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs.
Yeah.
So let me just pull those tabs up because I want to make my life easier. All right, so the history of this race, and of course we look at this event, the not Zippo 200. This screwball peanut butter whiskey 200 at the Glen. Yeah, you gotta have as many names as possible, you know. Okay. The first race. So let's look at the history here. Last year, of course, we didn't have it because New York. And 2019, Austin Cindric won that event, so he's the defending winner. In fact, Penske's looking to go 3 in a row. In fact, they're looking to win 5 out of the last 6 races. This is their playground. Ever since the schedule from after 2005 has been a staple in the series. It's been the Penske playground. Beforehand, it was the owner, driver, and road course ringer playground, but now it's been the whole opposite, to say the least. So Terry Labonte won the first race in 1991. He also has the most wins at 4. Marcus Ambrose, 4 wins there as well, including 3 in a row, 2008, 2009, and 2010. Ron Fellows won 3 times in 4 years, 1998, 2000, and 2001. Joey Logano won 3 times in 4 years as well, actually 4 in 5 years, 2015, 2016, 2018, and Kurt Busch won in 2006 and 2011. Now, you hear those names, right? What does that mean? Team Penske has the most wins by team, 8 times. And since the dawn of the revival of the Watkins Glen race in the series, off the bat, Ryan Newman, 2005, Kurt Busch, 2006. Again in 2011, Brad Keselowski, 2013, 2015, 2016, 2018, Joey Logano, and 2019, Austin Cindric. That makes 8 wins. Labonte Motorsports, all 4 wins with the owner, Terry Labonte. Nemco Motorsports, the team owned by Joe Nemechek, was won 3 times by Ron Fellows. And JTG Doherty Racing was won 3 times by Marcus Ambrose. So you can see those road course ringers taking in hold of the records at this event. Best driver Chevy are 4 to win here. Chevy has 10 wins at this event. However, it's been almost 14 years since the last win for Chevy. 2007, Kevin Harvick. Ford, 9 wins, including the last race in 2019. Toyota, 3 wins, including 2017 with Kyle Busch when he got his 90th career win. Dodge, 3 wins, all of them for Team Penske, and Oldsmobile, 1991 with Terry Labonte. So interesting to look at all the stats of the history of this event. And now we're in 2021. We had a gap year from this event, but we're back. Justin, this field is going to be very talented and very novice as well. What will we see on Saturday?
Just looking at the stats. I always look at stats to see, and I see some interesting stats that kind of weird, like Cody Ware and Reed Sorensen have a better average finish than Denny Hamlin in the Xfinity Series here for some reason. I don't know how that's possible, but other than that,
So what do you say?
Okay, I got my pick.
What do you think, Justin?
Okay, my pick. This driver, he's ran multiple races here. He's his average ain't good, but he has experience. This driver, his average starts 5.5, but his average wins 19.5. His best finish here is 2nd place. Driving the number 16, AJ Allmendinger is going to win at Watkins Glen. Yeah, I say AJ Allmendinger.
All right. I believe that this race, Austin Cindric is going to hold off AJ Allmendinger, just like we saw 2 years ago.
Okay, I thought you were going to say some other wacky winner.
No.
Like Joe.
If I had the energy to do it, I would.
So you're gonna pick Joe Graf Jr. at the Indy GP
No.
then? Why not?
I'm picking the driver who's going to replace him.
What?
Yeah,
God.
I'm throwing shade at Joe Graf Jr. Still don't
Joe
get why
Graf
he's
Jr.
right, but hey, that's
Well,
how
well, he's-
motorsports works. You
well,
pay,
he's in
you
the-
play.
Well, he's in the 07 again, but he's most likely going to get beaten by his teammate Josh Bilicki this weekend, who's in the 17
Most likely,
entry.
Lucky knows how to get around the track without going in the other direction, without intending to.
Oh my god!
All right.
The truck series.
Move to the truck series. So
This
hear me out.
hard.
This is the first time.
It's 2000.
This is the first time in 21 years since the last time we had a truck series race at Watkins Glen International. In fact, if it go back to 2001, it would have been the first ever season since the inaugural season that didn't have Watkins Glen on the calendar. But yeah, Greg Biffle won the last race in 2000 en route to his championship season with Roush Fenway Racing. First race was in 1996, and Ron Hornaday Jr., one of the greatest ever in the truck series, won that event for DEI. Ron Fellows, the Canadian, has the most wins with 2 wins, and everybody else has 1 win. Greg Biffle, Joe Ruttman, Ron Hornaday Jr. Because Greg Biffle and Joe Ruttman drove for Roush Fenway Racing, that means that team has the most team wins. Obviously, they're not going to be in the series this weekend, or because they haven't been in the series in a while. Roush Fenway Racing, 2 wins. Nemco Motorsports and Hess Racing, 1 win each, which combined for Ron Fellows' 2 wins. And Dale and Her incorporated that 1 win with Ron Hornaday Jr. Most make wins, 3 from Chevrolet, 2 from Ford. So Hornaday plus Fellows, 3 Ford from the Roush duo of Joe Ruttman and Greg Biffle. Obviously, it's 21 years later. We have a clean slate. We have no idea what's going to look like, and there's a championship on the line for some of these drivers.
But do you want to know what's kind of interesting? Do you want to know what's interesting about this Watkins Glen race?
Yeah.
There's no active truck drivers that's ran this race. I looked through the results of the race in 2000. There's no one that's ran the truck series.
Pending the entry list that's coming out.
Yeah, but
watch one of the teams bring out a driver who ran that race.
But do you want to know who are the only 2 active?
Biffle, where are you?
Do you want to know who are the only 2 active drivers that currently run in any NASCAR series that Kurt Busch has won a second place finish. He had in 2000. Harvick ran here 3 times in this event with 1 top 10 and a top 20. Those are the only 2 active drivers in any NASCAR series to run this race. Like current active drivers. Yeah, right. So it's gonna be hard to pick a driver, because there's no.
We just have to go based off their road course past experience and I'm sure their predictions might change pending the entry list. Like I said,
I got my pick. Okay, this driver, he has 1 win this season, I think. Yeah, he has 1 win. Which this driver, he drives for a Ford team. He's in the playoffs already, but I feel like he's going to get another win at this type of track because his only win this season so far came at a road course back in May. My pick is driver of the number 38, Todd Gilliland, is going to win at Watkins Glen. Yeah, I feel like Todd Gilliland's going to get career win number 3 and second on a road course in the number 38.
For this one, I know that we're going to be in a position that Twitter's going to set on fire over this. So I don't know who he's driving for this weekend, but we know that because we can't have nice things and have this situation go under the rug, that it's going to happen. And it's going to be interesting and a little polarizing one, too. Grant Enfinger will win at Watkins Glen.
What happens if he's not even entered at all?
Okay, that's a possibility. So if he's not entered in the race.
Yeah, just in case. Are you going to pick if he's not entered at all?
I will pick for this weekend at Watkins Glen to win this race, you got to be good.
Yep.
You got to be perfect. If you're not perfect because you ran out of all the opportunities, you shined too late in the season, then you're not going to be in this championship hunt. You're going to be in the hunt for 11th in points.
Yep.
Derek Kraus.
Okay, we'll see.
Derek Kraus. He has to win.
Yeah.
He's got to do.
Yeah, but you're talking about he needs consistency in the race because sometimes he makes mistakes here and there. But you also got Chandler Smith that he's trying to get into the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, Chandler Smith.
Chandler Smith in the
how competitive the series is.
Chandler Smith, Carson Hosvar in the Nice number 42.
Some of these guys have to survive this race, too.
Like Carson Hosvar, he's impressed me at Nice Motorsports.
Very. He's such a good driver.
Like, I didn't expect, like, his performance. Like, you know, like, Nice Motorsports, they've regressed in performance. Do you know why? Because of...
They pull from the factory
support.
Yeah,
GMS. Yeah, GMS pulled out. I don't know. GMS decided to end their partnership after Friesen's team.
They also pulled out from at the end of that same season.
Yeah, but...
Friesen left to Toyota.
Yeah, but it's still going to be good for the... Yeah, it's going to be a good, interesting how it's going to be it's going to be an interesting race. It's always interesting to watch Watkins Glen. It's going to be interesting to see the truck race since 2000.
Oh, yeah, nice to see you. What a comeback.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Speaking of interesting things that we've been waiting for a long time, a street course race at Nashville. And no, Karen, it's not Formula One. It's IndyCar. I had to squeak it in there, buddy.
Oh, my God.
Listen, I spent, 2 hours listening to the kerfuffle town hall of Nashville, people complaining, well, we don't want a Cup Series race here. Oh, what if it's on a school night?
A school night?
Crap.
Formula
One happened. Remember when Formula One racing? How'd that go? Formula One, okay, miss. Formula One never ran at Nashville. I don't think the closest F1 ever raced in Nashville had to be like Circuit of the Americas, which is like a good hundreds of hours away by car.
Well, they tried to get a race. They tried to get a race. Well, they tried to get a race in the streets of New York, which that didn't go well. Back in
they've done that multiple times. All kinds of sanctioning bodies, and then
and
it's always down to New York to have the last word when it comes to a street course race there. But
yeah, IndyCar, running. It's going to be interesting.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see this go because a few years back, actually about 5 years ago, the Boston Grand Prix was supposed to be held in the streets of Boston, Massachusetts in 2016.
But then they're like, nope.
And I was super excited for that. And then the I don't want to get political, but the buffoons that were running, I guess, the place in Boston where people live every day, said, oh, we can't do that. Sorry, go to Watkins Glen or something.
Yeah, they end up going to
all that promotion really went to nothing. And I was like afraid for a moment, but then I remembered, oh, this is Nashville. They're gonna let it happen. This gives me another opportunity to say, if IndyCar wants to make a good return to Vegas, other than change everything that was attempted last 10 years ago at Las Vegas, run the street course there like they did in Champ Car. But that would be a good market. And I thought, hey, maybe if there's anything that's not Las Vegas for a street course race that could be run in the current nature of 2021 or in the 2020s in general, Nashville would be the place to do it. And it was.
Yeah.
They made it work.
Yeah, but I know in one place that will never get a Grand Prix ever. I know where I live. No, my place where I live, Moncton's not going to get a Grand Prix, definitely. Well, the streets in my city are quite bad. Most of them have.
Remember the Baltimore Grand Prix?
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, that didn't go well at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it was as bad as you can imagine. They actually had a part of the track where they ran over train tracks and had to make a little chicane, like a 1-lane chicane around there.
What the? Who designed that track?
Yeah, the Baltimore street circuit from.
Oh my god!
I don't even know. It was in the early 2010s. But I think this track's going to be a success. They've done a lot of testing. They promoted this race so well. We've got a 2-time champion who comes from Nashville, Tennessee, Joseph Newgarden.
Yep.
A hot shot in IndyCar who really can be around in the series for a good 10, 15 years if he really wants to. This is a great opportunity for everyone. So we're going to make our predictions. Make this fairly quick.
Okay, that's easy.
Let's hear.
Okay, this driver, he's from Nashville, and he's a 2-time champion. Joseph Newgarden is gonna win. Means just he's from Nashville and he's a 2-time champion. Yep.
Okay. So you're gonna pick a Penske driver, right? Who's won a championship before, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick another Penske driver who's won a championship before, and you know what? His first career win was on a street course at Las Vegas. And he's going to win one on a street course in Nashville.
Huh?
Will Power is going to win.
I didn't even know his first one was on a street circuit.
2007 with KB Racing Technology. World Series. That's where I'm going. Will Power is going to win this race. We might see Penske finally take over again, but I don't know in terms of Drivers' Championship. That's going to be plausible. We'll have to see.
Well, it can if other drivers gonna see like Palau starts crashing out of more races. We'll have to see how it goes on.
This is a big test for Palau. I mean, next weekend it's gonna be a lot less in terms of pressure for these drivers because, of course, next weekend's the Indy GP again.
But after the Indy GP, they go to Gateway, the final oval of the season at Gateway. Gateway's an interesting track on its own.
But you got to pass this test at a new track that anyone hasn't been to before. Yeah. If you pass this test and you're in the top 5 points, this could be your ticket, your golden ticket to win this championship. Yeah. So I guess we both picked Penske drivers.
Yeah.
Speaking of Penske, we're about to talk about a race that was the last one by Team Penske, but they're not in the grid this year. It's the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
Yeah, I posted
the Road America Road Race.
Yeah, I posted the entry list, the second link. Yeah, I posted the entry list there, yeah.
We have, for many of these teams, this will be the last dance prior to the 2021 Le Mans 24 hours. For others, it already happened at Spa just yesterday. For this event, well, it is a sprint race. It's 35 cars overall. And mind you, this is the second and final race where all 5 classes in a sprint race will be featured in the same event for round 8 of this 12-race tour. This is the last race before the Le Mans break, like I mentioned already twice before. So 6 cars are GPIs. Consider that as you want competing for the overall win. Who's going to win this race overall? We'll just go class by class, make this fairly quick.
Okay, my pick is the number 10, Konica Minolta Acura ARX-05, driven by Ricky Taylor and Philippe Albuquerque. I feel like they're just so good, and Acura is good at these shorter events. And
Philippe's fast.
And Ricky has experience here, so I feel like they're going to win.
It's a good combination.
Who's your pick?
My pick, I think we're going to see Chip Ganassi racing in the 01 Cadillac DPI of Renger van der Zandt and Kevin Magnussen. I think they really do well in these sprint races.
Okay.
And Road America is a very familiar track for both the drivers, so this will play in their favor. Now let's move to the LMP2 class. There are 4 cars in this class.
Yep, okay.
All running Orca 07s.
Okay, my pick. I got my pick. My pick is the number 52, PR1 Matheson Motorsports Oracle 07, driven by Ben Keating and Mikkel Jensen.
All right, for this class, I will pick the number 11, Win Autosport Orca 07, with Stephen Thomas and Tristan Nunez. They've been very well so far and might pose a threat to this race. It is a sprint race, but I guess it's the one sprint race with an endurance race feel to it.
Yeah.
Especially because many years ago this wasn't endurance racing. A lot of people say, "Hey, maybe put this race, like add this to the endurance cup." We'll see what happens.
Okay.
LMP3 has 7 entries, and
yeah, I see.
I will pose a second question after we make our predictions for this class.
Yeah. Okay, I got my pick. My pick is the number 54 Core Autosport Ligier JSP 320, driven by Jonathan Bennett and Colin Braun.
Yeah, speaking of cars, all cars in this class will run Ligier JSP 320s in this category.
What's your pick?
For my pick, I'm going to go ahead and take the number 74 Riley Motorsports Ligier JSP 320 with Felipe Fraga and Gar Robinson. Might just be the guys to beat.
I also just realized there's 2 new teams that race in the prototype challenge in this event. Wolver Racing.
They run the same pack.
Yeah. Wolver Racing, their first IMSA WeatherTech start, and JR3 Racing, the 30 and 61 entries. Okay, GTLM.
Right. Now my next question. Before we go into GTLM, my next question is, will the class-winning LMP3 finish higher than the class-winning GTLM car overall?
I feel like this time they will. I feel yes. What do you say, Jason?
Truck has more speed and corners.
Yeah.
There are 2 Corvettes and a Porsche.
Okay.
Let's make this quick.
My pick is the number 3 Corvette Racing Corvette C8R, driven by Antonio Garcia and Doran Taylor. I'm going to experience. They're just fast.
I'm not surprised by the lack of entries for this class, especially that it's month for Le Mans. But I'm going to go ahead and take your same pick as well. Number 3, Corvette Racing Chevrolet Corvette C8R, Jordan Taylor and Taylor Garcia. They've just been super stellar this year anyways. It'd be hard for them not to win. Now, from least competitive to most competitive in class is the FIA Group GT3 Spec GT Daytona class.
15 entries. 15 entries entered in this class.
A lot of competition and a lot of variables in this, but I'll leave it to you, Justin. Who do you have?
Okay, my pick is the number 23 Heart of Racing Team Aston Martin Vantage GT3, driven by Roman DeAngelis and Ross Gunn. This 23 entry, they've been strong this season. So I feel like this number 23. Yeah, I feel like they're going to just really do good and pull away in the regular standings because they are leading it. I feel like they're just going to win. Yeah, I feel like the 23.
Yes, and they also have the Sprint Cup, the WeatherTech Sprint Cup.
Yeah.
This is part of the championship.
Yeah, they're leading that. So, yeah, I feel like the 23. Who's your pick?
All right. I'm going to pick a team from your home country. The number 9, Fast Motorsports Porsche 911 GT3R.
Okay.
With Zachary Robichon and Lawrence Vantor.
Okay. That's a good pick.
Oh, yeah. I think it might be a very interesting one as well. I just wish everyone all the best, because for that race, a lot of drivers are leaving Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and immediately going to an airport.
Yeah.
And these teams are like, everybody's. You ever have that feeling when you're going to a place and you're out of town, but I gotta go get something to eat, but my bags are all packed and I'm just ready to go right to the airport if I need to. That's the vibe right now for a lot of these drivers and a lot of these teams. We're going to talk a lot more about the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I'm going to dedicate the next 2 episodes to further discussion on that. But at least we're going to get these 2 sports car races out of the way before we continue on that.
Yeah.
Without further ado, I think this is a good time to end this podcast. We're just over 2 hours long. Oh yeah, and let's bring up a little bit of the Olympics first. It's not at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll leave it till 9:10 for this. But so the Olympics will conclude by the time we come back to the podcast.
Yep. The Olympics will be done because they're done on Sunday.
Right. Well, Saturday night going into Sunday for us will be the conclusion of the Olympics.
Yeah.
But what has impressed you the most about the Olympic Games?
There's been interesting moments in the Olympics. It's been interesting. Different sports have been interesting, like soccer. I've seen some soccer.
Yeah, how about earlier today? Team Canada beat out the United States 1-0 in the semifinal round. That will put Team Canada in a position to play for the gold medal game.
Yeah.
Whoa! I don't think anyone saw that coming, and you know what? I think Team USA kind of shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
But here's another one I found very interesting. So I think it was one of the knockout matches. It was actually earlier today. Well, yesterday for Japan, but this morning for us. Japan versus the United States in men's baseball.
Huh.
Wow. I don't know what else to say besides what a game. That was absolutely incredible how we got to see, the home country fight hard to win at home. Unfortunately, not in front of a crowd. I'm sure it would have been a very passionate crowd. Baseball is a big sport in Japan.
Yeah.
There's a big push to get baseball and softball back into the Olympic Games after 2008 for the 2020 games. And unfortunately, we already know it's not going to be in the next Olympics in Paris. But so we know how much Japan wants this. And remember, they actually in softball they beat the United States just like in 2008 in softball for the gold medal. So we'll see how that goes. And what more can I say about Suni Lee gymnastics? But besides just taking the world by storm, much like Esteban Ocon did in the Hungarian Grand Prix yesterday.
That gymnastics thing I was talking about earlier, right as Joseph was talking about Ferrari, there's a person named Vanessa Ferrari. But it's going to be interesting. And by the way, if people don't remember, to let people know, the Xfinity race is not on NBCSN. It's on CNBC. Not NBC, that people are complaining about that. It's on CNBC for the race this weekend, just to let people know so they don't get confused of what network it is. The Cup race is on NBCSN, and then ARCA and the Truck Series airs on Fox Sports 1 this weekend.
Truck Series year-round on Fox.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is good for a podcast to come to an end. We'll see you next week for episode 123. NASCAR will be back on the map. We're going to find out who's in those Truck Series playoffs. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.